Alright, welcome to the second ever live Fat Guys and Friends podcast. I am in Logan Wanger's humble abode right now. We just finished up watching Summerslam. We're going to recap that, and then later on in the show we'll recap the Raw and Smackdowns after the big show of the summer, Summerslam. We got a special guest today. I believe this is his second time on the podcast.
Might even be third.
Might even be third. Mr.
No,
Arick,
it's only my second.
Okay, it's the second time on the podcast. Mr. Arick Wenger, Logan's little brother. Arick, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm still upset, but you know.
All right, well, we will get to that very quickly here. But like we said, we're going to recap some SummerSlam. A good show. Had some miscues, but honestly kind of made up for it and had some things that are going to have people talking. That's the point of the wrestling business. So, all right, let's just jump right into it, guys. We're going to start with the main event. The best fight on the card, without a doubt. The best thing that they had all night, the Fatal 4-Way for the Raw title. It was
surprisingly, by the way.
Yes. Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe, and Roman Reigns. Everybody got in, did their big moves, got a lot of good stuff. Let's just start with the showing and the support that Braun Strowman had. Braun Strowman put the champion Brock Lesnar through 2 announce tables and was clearly the fans' pick for who they wanted to win. Logan, let's start over there, bud. Have you seen Lesnar ever be just tossed around like that before?
No, I mean we sat here talking. It's like Vince went to Brock and was like, "Hey, remember when you used to sell for people and actually be a wrestler and didn't just suplex people in F5 and go away for 6 months?" It was insane. The support that Braun got just when the Braun hit on his music. From then out, people were like, "That's my guy."
Yeah,
I want him to win.
One of the biggest pops of the night was his entrance. Arick, okay, so just to get anybody who didn't see it, the finish of the match, Brock got put through those 2 tables, then taken to the back on a stretcher, eventually came back out, got beat up a little bit more, but ends up pinning Roman Reigns to retain his title. Arick, I know you weren't a big fan of that, so the floor is yours, my friend. Go ahead.
Okay, so right when he got I thought it was awesome. The beginning of the match, immediately I was like, I am very shocked by how awesome this match is. 5 minutes in, I'm like, all right, we got speared through got a barricade breaker, brother, and then he got put through 2 announce tables, and then he got an announce table put on top of him. I thought that was awesome. It was so good. And I was like, hey, maybe he actually won't come back out. But then I was like, nah, he's probably going to go to the back, get some oxygen, because he's probably already tired. Then he's going to come back out and win. And when he came back out, they made it seem like that wasn't going to happen. But then as soon as, because they kept doing, 1,000,001 false finishes. And then finally, every time that he would get, someone would get knocked out of the ring, and it was Lesnar and whoever in the ring, I was like, oh, fuck, here it comes. Here it fucking comes. Fucking Vince just fucking me in the ass again. I was so fucking mad. I was like, oh, fucking sweet, Roman. Oh, fucking cool. Here comes Braun, or whoever came and fucked it all up. And then Roman gets fucking caught, and then I was so mad. I just want there to be a champion who's there, who doesn't show up randomly, and who actually is a champion. He's not, I understand Brock, he's cool, he's Brock Lesnar, but he should just go fight John Jones, because he'll make more money, and it'll be cooler.
I'll give you that. Now, Here's my question, though. Will you at least give it the fact that if they don't feel entirely comfortable with Braun having the strap yet, which that to me, that's kind of what that match said, is we think this guy can be the guy, and let's give him some big offense against Brock, who, like we talked about, doesn't give anybody offense. Do you think that this is the type of match that solidifies, okay, that's the guy who's getting the next shot?
Yeah, I think it should be Joe before Strowman. I think what I would have liked to seen happen. I remember I was watching it going, I want Brock to lose, and I don't want Roman to win. That's what I thought the whole time. So I was
like, I was with you on that one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, what I thought they should have done is, okay, I do kind of agree with you that they should go with Braun, but I think they should have had Joe win, and then at the next big pay-per-view, they should have been setting up until then Braun versus Brock for a non-title match, because Braun's first match ever was on Raw. I understand he's progressed really well, he's done really well, he doesn't need to have a title yet. He's only been wrestling probably, 3 years? At the most, he needs to to work on his promos a little more. He needs to, like, I don't know. I just think he needs to be around a little longer. Like, the crowd might be behind him, but Joe's a guy who I know could hold the title and it'd be believable. Like, do you this was a while ago. This wasn't that long ago, but do you remember that, I think it was the Monday after Great Balls of Fire. I think Brock came out and Heyman was talking about how awesome his victory was. I think Roman came out and Roman made this really awesome comment about how, like, they want a champion who's there, and the crowd got a huge pop. And then Joe came out and he said it was the coolest thing ever. Like, Lesnar looked away for a second, and then Joe was like, "You look at me when I'm talking to you, boy." And I was like, I love it. That was awesome. I think Joe's legitimate. I think Joe could handle the title, and I think people would believe it if he was the champion. So I think Joe should have won. I think Braun and Lesnar should have gone into into their own main event type feud. And then after that, I think Braun should have went out on top of that. Then Lesnar could have gone away, done the John Jones fight, and then came back and done whatever. And then after that, Strowman could have possibly had the title.
I was with you. I was on the Joe train. Joe was my pick for tonight. But saying that, I don't think Braun needs to work on his promos because Braun's game isn't the promo game.
What if they make him a Paul Heyman guy? I just thought of that.
I don't know.
It's been too much Paul being the mouthpiece of the title.
Exactly.
I think the fact that Braun says 7 words in a Raw promo and the crowd gets more hype for those than anybody else's, like, I think maybe you're right that it'd take a little bit on a title run that might stop getting over, but right now the guy is just red hot.
Exactly.
Everybody in that arena wanted Braun.
No one's ever been as excited for a guy just to yell his own name. That's how
that's
Braun
true.
got over. He screams Braun for a solid 7 seconds, and people love it.
I'm surprised that he already hasn't given the title just because how tall is he? 6'8"?
Yeah, he's a Vince prototype.
6'8", 385 pounds. Jesus, his dick could fall on me and I'd die. Like, that man is insane. Like, Vince probably loves him.
Oh, definitely. And to wrap up this main event, I mean, the one thing that I have a gripe with it, I mean, the opening part where Brock gets speared through the barricade was just like, you knew instantly it was going to be a different match where it wasn't just going to be Brock tearing through everybody. But the one person I think kind of got shorted on offense was Samoa Joe. Yep. We saw him locked in the coquina clutch a few times, but he just didn't get to do enough, I feel like, for being in that
muscle
match.
busters.
I mean, we saw Roman Reigns land about 15 Superman punches.
Seriously.
He does that anyways. That was expected.
That's fair. It's just,
But yeah, I don't think we've seen Joe do a muscle buster since he ruined Tyson Kidd's career.
No, well, he does the fake muscle buster where he falls back.
He teases it. He'll go to the corner and he'll tease him, but I don't think he's out and out done it since he hurt Tyson Kidd.
Well, doesn't he do it, but he just falls back rather than sitting straight down and murdering people?
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, because I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but yeah, it makes him more of a straight suplex than anything else.
Yeah.
But all right, let's jump to another match. Some really shockingly good matches in both the tag championship matches. The SmackDown one,
the pre-show.
criminally on the pre-show because we already saw the New Day and the Usos put on a classic. The
only good match at Battleground.
At Battleground, they were the only good match, and then they get put on the pre-show here and just start the card on fire. Yep. That was a great match. We've seen Xavier Woods finally get some run in the ring finally, and now that Raw tag team match. I wouldn't say it was good as a SmackDown one, but a nice finish, a good thing to get the straps off of Cesaro and Sheamus. And
those guys.
I mean, you always have in the back pocket now. The Shield reunion.
You can always throw Roman with those two now.
Yeah.
They're a third of the way away.
I will say that entire match, I was there just like, I just want Moonlight Sonata to start playing because that's what the Broken Hardys used. And I was like hyping myself up way too much for it. I just wanted the Broken Hardys to come out so bad. The match was good, but the entire time I was like, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, come out, Brother Nero.
I don't think we're getting the Broken Hardys for a while. I do think Woken Hardys are on the way, though.
True. The Woken Hardys are
about to
tomorrow.
Woke AF.
Yeah, on Monday.
On Twitter.
On Monday's Raw, I think we're getting woken.
They already have the Hardys Reborn shirt, so I guess it kind of could work and play into it.
Exactly.
They do all the same mannerisms and have almost the exact same words. And I mean, the Broken Hardys gimmick was silly. It was just a silly gimmick. So if you just
But
change
awesome.
yeah, I'm not arguing that part. But if you just change it, one word of it, from broken to woken, still let him say he's going to delete people, say he has his weird accent back, Brother Nero has his contacts in where it looks like he doesn't have any eyes. Maybe Senior Benjamin comes back. You can get Rebby on TV finally. Maybe King Maxwell pins Enzo Amore. The possibilities are endless.
This is this kind of dumb question, and that might sound silly, but it's kind of a legit question. You think they can do the delete chants in Germany?
Solid question.
Oh,
They
man.
can do the chants. I don't know if they can do the motion.
Topical reference with the past week and a half in this country, too.
Oh, true. They can definitely do it in Charlottesville.
Maybe misunderstood. Maybe it was just a big Matt Hardy fan gathering.
They're just trying to get the broken Hardys
Yeah,
to come.
that's what they were really protesting. Was Anthem.
Yeah, I haven't seen any
blocking the
audio.
buses.
They could have been saying delete the whole time.
They were just screaming "fuck that Al." Then delete came in. Somebody drove their car and things spiraled out of control.
Yeah,
Talking about the 7 deities.
Yeah, it got bad. Anyways, let's move off that really quick.
Stick to sports.
Yeah, stick to sports for sure. One of the other matches I actually liked a lot more than I was assuming I would was AJ Styles Kevin Owens U.S. title match.
You didn't think you were going to like that match?
I didn't because of the BS finishes that they've had in their other two matches.
Yeah.
It did feel like they were working up to something big at SummerSlam, though, because they had all the false finishes, all the, like you said, all the bullshit leading up to it, and then Shane was there. I think Shane was used correctly as the special
I do too.
referee. He was pushed around enough. He was down the middle fairly enough. He was physical with both guys, which
Yep.
I thought was a surprise.
Yeah, and missed finishes for both guys.
Yep.
Missed the tap out and then missed the pin for Kevin Owens after getting hit. So shockingly, I thought the best part was Kevin Owens screaming at Shane after he missed the pin.
Just
like,
I
you
know.
jump off the buildings.
How did you not recover that quick?
I was just about to bring that up. That was the highlight of the match for me. Like,
Dude,
you
we
jump
were
off
dying.
buildings.
Kevin Owens in-ring promos, like in-match, I should say, mid-match promos,
Yelling.
and yelling. Like when he used to just call out Cole randomly in the middle of matches on Raw, and what he did tonight, that's honestly the best thing of his character.
Are you bad-mouthing me?
When he used to yell at Byron, "Shut up, Byron!"
Yeah, exactly.
Just randomly.
Go say something.
Did you see him yell at Shane's kids?
No, what?
Yeah, I could have swore like he looked at because they showed where Shane's kids were, and I could have swore he looked at him and goes, "Your dad doesn't know how to count."
Oh, that's we're gonna have to go back and find the replay of that. That is incredible. Oh my god, I will have to find that one. One other match that stood out, the Raw Women's Title match, as shockingly lame and boring as the SmackDown Live's Women's Titles match. I mean, the Raw one saved women's wrestling. I mean, we understand why Charlotte's not in the scene right now with stuff going on with Ric Flair, but just that was lame for SmackDown. But Raw,
Natalya sucks.
Yeah, Natalya sucks. But Raw with Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. Sasha Banks taking the title off her. What did they say? 4-time or 5-time?
She's a 4-time women's title, and I think this is the first time she hasn't won it off of Charlotte.
Exactly. So
Well,
I really think that's true.
I think you're right. Yeah, that sounds right. I think it just sets up a long feud with Bliss because clearly Nia Jax can't work with anybody without hurting him,
Oh, man.
and there's nobody else on the Raw roster right now that you would throw in there with them that really makes any sense, in my opinion.
I want to know why Asuka isn't on the main roster yet.
They actually just answered this not too long ago. Triple H has told Vince that NXT can't afford to lose Asuka.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's
Really? Okay.
The women's division isn't strong enough if she's not down here.
They
Because,
should have sent.
You'll give the title to Ember Moon, but then
What do you have?
who's going to challenge her for it? I mean,
With the way that things have been going, they should have sent Asuka up and left Bailey down there if they were just gonna fucking book Bailey like shit.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's a possibility when Bailey comes back from this injury. The way that the crowd is completely turned on Bailey,
Even when they just showed her on the Tron tonight, she took a beating.
which I
It's
don't.
not her fault though.
That's
I
what I'm
agree.
saying. We don't get
I
it.
agree.
I said to Logan during the pay-per-view, is this what it was like when the crowd turned on John Cena? Because I wasn't watching much then, but I know, like, obviously it's still around people, disliking Cena because it's fashionable. But,
I think they do it for the same reason they boo Roman Reigns.
Kinda.
Bailey was never like pushed to the moon or anything or shoved down our throats.
No, yeah, the fans picked her. Like,
Yeah.
she's not a great wrestler. She's not a great promo, but the fans liked her. That's why she got pushed.
Yeah.
Was because she was like the female of Daniel Bryan almost.
That is a great analogy.
Quick thing on Daniel Bryan. Have you guys listened to the latest ENC where he might be coming back to wrestle at some point?
Bree's like giving her blessing for him to wrestle wherever he wants.
I don't think that Vince will let him wrestle there, and I think that he's going to make.
I don't think
he will.
We've ever had this on the podcast, but Bart and I share this hot take. We don't like Daniel Bryan.
I don't either,
ice
but the
cold on
people
Daniel
do.
Bryan.
Yeah,
So
not a fan.
I am too. I don't really care for him, but I do think that if he went to ROH could become not real close to WWE. I'm talking hold on.
They don't have the infrastructure to be. Nobody's ever going to get close to WWE. They're too far ahead. But there can be a solid second, and I think you're right. Wherever Daniel Bryan goes, that becomes the second.
Especially with New Japan.
Yeah.
I think New Japan is as close as you can be to solidify themselves as number 2 right now, and with Daniel Bryan, they're for sure. And
they've got the distribution with Access TV right now and a couple other things in America. They have Jim Ross on there, a wrestling voice that knows how to do his job. Like they're the one I think is going to be the second. I just think anything in America just has such a difficult time trying to do anything over WWE. It's just you can't win that battle.
Yeah, the closest we've seen is TNA from like 2005 to 2011 ish.
I was going to say 04 to 08, 09 ish.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, those were a lot of ex-WWE guys that were carrying that ship, and then they obviously got hot with AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and
Christopher Daniels
in there now.
Yeah, Kazarian.
Yeah, those type of guys. But overall, just if you can combine this show, there were some definite misses. Like we mentioned, the SmackDown match or women's match wasn't very good.
To get to that real quick, I heard JBL say she said she's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. What? Why?
I mean, Natty says that in her promos because she's not original. Yeah. She is a female copy of a guy who was popular 25 years ago.
Yep.
You can't say that when somebody else already says that, and it's your family member. He should come back and put her in a fucking sharpshooter.
She means it for ladies.
Yeah, that's the woman's
Big
version.
Difference.
Oh, for ladies.
She's the best lady there ever was.
Then Santino should come back and hit her with a cobra.
Well, there you go. But I mean, just Eric, overall takes from SummerSlam. We saw actually what I thought was a pretty good show for putting on 4 hours of wrestling to kind of space out some of these matches. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was a good start with the pre-show, slow build on the actual show. Like, I thought the first couple, I can't remember the exact, the first match was what, Cena and Corbin?
Yeah.
Right? I hate Corbin. I don't like Corbin at all. I'm so glad that Jinder Mahal beat him. Like, and also, we never even talked about that. I love Jinder Mahal. I want Jinder Mahal to be the next Iron Sheik.
You just dropped the hottest take in the history of this podcast because Jinder Mahal is fucking terrible.
Oh my god, I fucking love him.
Please defend this.
Please, okay, this is why. I think the best heels in wrestling are heels that are foreign because Americans are naturally nationalists and hate every other country because we're number one. But like, they need people from other countries just because everybody likes being like, you don't talk bad about America. So like, you have him as the champion and just have him, like the way he beat Shinsuke tonight was perfect. The Singh brothers got involved.
No,
it's like,
stop right there. It's not perfect, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's the same fucking shit we have seen the last 4 months of his title reign. Jinder has an okay match for a while. He goes out, he huddles up with his little Singh brothers, gets back in, gets beat up for a little while, huddles up with the Singh brothers again, gets beat up for a little while. Oh, now the Singh brothers are threatening to get in the ring. They get in the ring, Jinder's opponent beats him up for a little while, throws one of them in the ring, beats the other one up. Oh, here comes Jinder out of nowhere for the Colossus. Oh my god, he retained. That's Jinder's run for the last 4 months.
Can we agree that Seth Rollins' heel run as champion was one of the best heel runs ever as champion, right?
Don't change subjects
because I'm changing the subject because what was J&J Security and how did all of his matches go for the most part?
Way different.
Okay, I will agree that your premise is correct in that is a lot of what Seth Rollins' heel run was.
And it was amazing.
However, the in-between parts, because Seth Rollins is so good and Seth Rollins is an amazing promo, when he was a heel. Like, those separated him, and Jinder can't do either one. Like, Jinder's not a great wrestler, and he's...
Jinder's promos are, I'm a different color, I speak a different language, you don't like me. There. That's Jinder, right? That's it.
I can't defend that. You right there. But I do think his wrestling is a nice throwback.
I like Jinder as the wrestler. I really do. But the Singh brothers getting involved in every single fucking match is getting old.
Yeah.
Like, that's the same finish every time.
And when they, on SmackDown Live 2 weeks ago, when they have the Singh brothers banned from ringside and then Orton beats him clean, it's like, so this champion's weak without these two midgets on the outside? This is stupid.
But I think the reason they did that was because I think it's always better to have a champion who everybody knows can't retain it on his own. And that's like the whole premise, you know? Like, I don't want to keep going back to Seth, but like, did Seth ever win without help or clean?
He beat Sting.
Yeah,
and John Cena. Yeah, and John Cena the same night.
Clean.
Well, the Cena match.
John Stewart.
That was with John Stewart.
Oh yeah, that stupid shit.
The Sting match was at Night of Champions when his neck got all fucked up. But I think he was on his way to winning clean because it's Sting and he's 58 years old and doesn't need the win.
But, you know, yeah.
I just, the Jinder Mahal title run has made no sense. This Tuesday is going to answer a lot of questions on Jinder because whoever they put him with next, clearly Cena's going to Raw. Like, that's what everyone's reported.
Yeah. I hope I'm not dropping another bombshell on this podcast. I don't understand the hype behind Shinsuke.
I do.
Yeah. He's good, and
I just think like Vince and Hunter, not Hunter to an extent, but Vince like doesn't get his work style yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I get his work style. He's an awesome wrestler, but to be in WWE, like, okay, like what he did works in New Japan because they're all about the wrestling. And in WWE, he can't just go, talk all retarded. Like, it just doesn't work.
His way of trying to get over is googly eyes and then putting his hands like up and going, "It could be."
He looks like he's autistic. Like, it just doesn't look good.
But I think his in-ring and the fan support his push. My question is Bobby Roode immediately number one contender, or does he have to beat somebody first?
He'll have to work his way up, I think.
Okay, because the SmackDown main event scene, unless we see Kevin Owens decide to just ditch the U.S. title and go for the big belt, we'll have to see on Tuesday when that comes up. But overall, Logan, your SummerSlam thoughts now about 20 minutes after we watched.
Yeah. I thought it was good overall. I mean, like we mentioned the duds, like the one woman's match. Alexa losing the title was questionable, but I mean there's a story to build off of there. Both the tag title matches were really, really good, especially with the Shield reunion looming. It seems like, or I mean they can pull the trigger whenever they want. We've gone on too long about Shinsuke and Jinder, so I won't touch that. And then it seems like we're on our way to hopefully Braun Strowman getting the title, which I think is the correct move soon.
Yeah.
I don't know how soon. I don't know. It can't be at a non-Big Four pay-per-view.
No.
And for Brock to lose the title, too, it has to be at a big thing.
Yeah, it's either going to have to be
Survivor Series or it's got to be the Rumble. Because
yeah.
You shut up, I'm still talking. Because it's got to be for... Now you made me lose my train of thought, you motherfucker. I had it. Because I think Brock is going to be gone after this WrestleMania. So they've got to get the belt off of him, and they've got to put him with somebody that he's going to put over at next year's Mania. Because he's on his way out. He hasn't been beaten clean by somebody in
that matters. Yeah, that matters for the current product. Like the last one was Goldberg, and he didn't matter for the current product.
And fuck that.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And I'm with you on that, and especially Eric, you keep mentioning him, Brock Lesnar going back to UFC for the John Jones fight. I agree with you. That's going to happen next summer. Brock's going to have to be training 100% UFC by January and get back in the testing pool for that to happen because he's got to serve his doping suspension, which lasts 6 months. So he's got to stay clean for 6 months and train to be able to be fighting next summer. So I think, like you said, Brock is going to probably drop either at Survivor Series or the Rumble. I'd love to see it be Braun because just the way that he's been pushed and the matches he's had with Roman and everything that he's done there, I think he's proven, especially because there's going to be guys like Roman that he's wrestling still on Raw once Brock's gone. So obviously you've got a lot of built-in backstory there. But I think SummerSlam overall, like, you're not going to get a better co-branded show where you have so much you've got to pack in and so many matches. I could have gone for some different orders. Like, I didn't need to see Randy Orton Rusev for the 8 seconds I did.
Yeah,
however,
touch on that.
I'm glad if you're just going to put Randy over for no reason, don't make me sit through 10 bullshit minutes of a Randy Orton match.
Yeah.
Doing the
I'm not
same
gonna lie,
7
I didn't
moves.
even watch that match.
You didn't.
Yeah, you didn't miss much.
You could miss it.
Yeah, if you blink, you missed it. But
Oh man.
I mean, I just think you're not going to get a co-branded pay-per-view outside of WrestleMania with that many good matches and enough entertainment at the end to keep us talking now for about 25 minutes. So overall, solid show, and I'm excited to see what happens Raw and SmackDown for the first time in a little while off of pay-per-view, because the last few pay-per-views I've just kind of been like, all right, how much bullshit am I going to have to listen to now off of that pay-per-view?
Knew exactly where they were going with pretty much every storyline. That's the best part about like Big Four pay-per-views, is that it's, I mean, they use this on TV, but it's like a reset button.
Mm-hmm.
You finally wrap up all your big storylines, and now you can plant the seeds for your next set of big feuds.
For sure. Mm-hmm. All right, Eric.
I would have. Are you trying to wrap me up?
Yeah.
You're trying to tell me to shut the fuck up?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
Play you
well, I would wholeheartedly agree with you about the whole Braun thing if he would never have lost. I wanted
Fair.
Braun to if you remember how Rusev was booked when he first came in there,
Yeah.
his first loss was that he was counted out.
Yeah.
If they could have done that with Braun, I would have been all the way behind it. Him just being this fucking wrecking machine that came through everything. And I just don't want to see Braun versus Brock for the title because I think it'll be a horseshit match, but I think it'll be a good build and a good idea for a match, like Goldberg versus, you know what I mean? There's just two big guys.
Yeah.
And like, I would just rather, I'd like to see him, if he took the title from Brock, cool, but they need to have somebody like, I don't know, like a Seth Rollins type or somebody like that face him, so it's not just two big guys fucking like fumbling around the ring trying to make it look cool.
Eric, do you like Seth Rollins? Because you've mentioned him probably 8 or 9 times so far.
I mean, I like him a lot. I do like Seth Rollins. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Jinder might be a little better, but
Oh,
you know.
God. All right. That's another conversation. Eric,
Same
we
with
appreciate you
Daniel,
coming by,
but-
buddy. Thank you.
You're welcome, I guess.
Okay, we are back here on Fat Guys and Friends. We're going to recap Raw and SmackDown. Pretty big shows after SummerSlam happened Monday, Tuesday. We're recording this Wednesday, just after noon. We'll start with the big things that happened on SmackDown, obviously a little more fresh in our minds. We saw the debut on the main roster of Bobby Roode, a former NXT champion and one of the greatest intro songs in pretty much professional wrestling history, if not, top 2 or 3 ever. And then we saw the return of Shelton Benjamin, who is a Ruthless Aggression era stalwart who just kind of fell through the cracks, but is finally back. He's going to be teaming up with Chad Gable, basically forming another Alpha, or American Alpha, Team America type tag team. Wang, of those two, I mean, what had you a little more excited on Tuesday when you saw those guys come out?
I mean, as much as I always like Shelton Benjamin, I'm way more on the Bobby Roode train right now, just because of everything he did in TNA, being a part of Beer Money and everything, and just what he's been able to do in NXT. It's been so cool. I mean, you mentioned it with his intro music. It's so cool that, I mean, I know we're wrestling nerds and are recording a wrestling podcast, but you and I play that song out at bars when we're together.
We sure do.
And people like random non-wrestling fans like get into the song. Like, that's how good it is. And then the best part is that he's a good wrestler too. It's not just the fact that he has an awesome intro song. He's a really good wrestler. And so we were talking about it when we were together. We think that Bobby Roode is being groomed to be the new. His music is so over. Is he gonna be a baby face? But he's been a heel in NXT, so I'm so confused. But SmackDown is missing that big star now that John Cena has jumped ship to Raw.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with AJ Styles with the U.S. title, because even with Rude, I still feel like AJ Styles' pop to start the show was the biggest that we heard all night. Like, Styles is probably the most over guy on the show. So what they do with him technically having the secondary belt, but then continually being in the main event slot, just kind of a weird setup to SmackDown in general. But going to your point on Shelton Benjamin, I mean, yeah, anybody that was watching back when he debuted with Charlie Haas as part of Team Angle, like, you could tell that guy was insanely athletic, and he had a 7-8 year career in WWE where he was like Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champ. You could really do anything you wanted with him on the mid card. It really is just going to come down to how they decide to use him here. Obviously, throwing him into a tag team right away just kind of adds a little more star power to the tag team division. But I think that's a guy who can also, make your mid card champion, or even give him a decent storyline at the WWE title. Even though I'm not sure if he's qualified to be that champion, just at least he can have a solid feud with whoever is the champion for a month or two.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the way to groom him back into WWE TV, just to throw him with Gable, who didn't have much to do right now. I assume they'll end up breaking up after a few months because they both seem like they can handle themselves as singles stars. I mean, Gable was on his way to doing so, and Shelton Benjamin's proven himself. But I think he's probably penciled in as a mid-card champion once AJ Styles does move his way back up the card, which seems inevitable because eventually they have to admit that his Jinder Mahal experiment has been a failure.
Yeah, okay, now that Eric's not here, because he's being a bitch and didn't jump on the podcast, we apologize to any of our listeners for somewhat supporting Jinder Mahal positivity, and we promise it will never happen again.
Now, I liked it when it happened, and I'm on board with them saying that it was different, and I liked them taking a chance. But it's been long enough where they need to admit their mistake.
I'm with you. I thought, also just staying on SmackDown, the AJ Styles Kevin Owens main event for the U.S. title, I thought it was a really fun match. Obviously, the Baron Corbin being special guest referee, Angle kind of turned how the match went, because obviously then it got Shane back involved. But I thought that was a nice thing to give Corbin just a little touch of momentum after shitting on him for a week.
And why is it that wearing this magical shirt makes you have all the power in a WWE match? I never knew that. I knew other officials could have powers, but I didn't know that if you took the special shirt off and gave it to somebody else, then they get the special powers. I learned a lot this week on SmackDown.
Yeah, it was an informative show. I'm with you there. I think, they're clearly setting up the Kevin Owens Shane feud, and I think that could be good because Kevin Owens is just one of the great smack talkers in WWE right now, especially mid-match like we talked about during SummerSlam. Will it be a great match, like technical wrestling? No, but it'll be entertaining, and there's going to be some high spots that Shane's a psycho and jumps off stuff.
We thought that for WrestleMania, though, and the biggest spot was the botched shooting star press. There was plenty of stuff for Shane to jump off of, and he just didn't do it against Styles. So I wonder if he's saving himself. He did survive that plane crash. I don't know if that counts, but...
I love how Kevin Owens mockingly made fun of the fact that
made so
the
light of it.
helicopter went down and he was okay. All right, jumping over to Raw here. Another solid show for Raw. We were talking right after Raw on Monday that was one of the better Raws that we've seen. Starts off with a bang. You get Brock Lesnar out there. Crowd's going crazy for him. And then Braun comes out and they go even crazier for him. Braun lays him out again. And they announced it already that it's going to be Braun versus Brock for the title. And what they say, it was No Mercy, which happens in, October?
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah, it was 7 weeks, so whatever that ends up being, early October.
Two
Either
Brock
way.
Lesnar appearances in between there. If that.
Yes. Maybe we'll see him, flashes on the screen.
How surprised were you that Braun beat up Brock pretty good again on Monday?
I thought if you're going to set up that match, have Braun kind of be the one that walks out. I thought they might give Lesnar one bit of offense,
Seriously?
But no, he just got manhandled again.
I was stunned that Braun laid Brock out again. I thought that they were gonna have a little back and forth, but it was just no. I was waiting for Brock to go through another table.
Oh, Brock's getting being a little bit of an old man. I mean, he's 40, 41-ish. That might be too much for him in one whole day, getting to go through 3 tables.
Three tables in almost 24 hours.
For sure. And huge news Tuesday night that affects Brock Lesnar in that Jon Jones gets caught doping again at the last UFC fight that he was in for the light heavyweight title. And that's going to put him in I think it's a 2-year minimum suspension for a second time getting caught. So that really nixes any chance of Brock Lesnar jumping back over to UFC for a money fight with Jon Jones. Unless there's somebody else that he sees that can draw even close to what Jones is, I think that really ends the chances of Lesnar leaving for the UFC. Now, if he leaves just to full-on retire, that's possible, but I can't see Brock going back over to the UFC without that big money fight available.
This just clicked in my head because it was said that Jones failed the test before his fight. Do you think it's possible that Vince, having all the pull that he does, somehow got that info from Dana White, and then that impacted the change or the finish of the Universal title match and keeping the title on Brock rather than taking it off of him and letting him go away and maybe begin his UFC training?
That's a phenomenal and very fair question. I think that in the past few years, like Dana White and Vince McMahon used to have a very icy relationship. In the past few years, it's definitely softened because Dana White's kind of figured out, the way that Vince creates stars and promotes guys is kind of the way you have to in combat sports. And I think, the problem is USADA moves so slow. Like, Jon Jones' fight was end of July, and we're hearing about it 3 weeks, almost a month later. And it's like, the UFC is the number one client, like the biggest job producer or, job giver to USADA for drug testing because there's just so many athletes they have to keep track of. It's like, how are you not figuring this out fast enough that, and supposedly this test was the test that happened after the weigh-ins because they can test guys technically, quote-unquote, in competition whenever they want. So why isn't this happening fast enough that, maybe that Jon Jones gets pulled from the fight again? I mean, that would have been bad for the UFC, but if the point is to keep guys who are on steroids out of the cage, why isn't this going faster?
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks, and it's weird how what's happening in UFC is affecting almost WWE booking in the sense of what they do with the Universal title and Brock Lesnar right now.
I think your point is very accurate where you've got a situation where Vince McMahon might let Brock go do it because it worked out for him well last time. He came back, he gets the monster hype train going again, and away they went. But can you imagine if Brock would have gone over and somehow beat Jon Jones and then comes back to WWE, or even if that's just like the calling card or the last thing that he does athletically, doesn't come back to WWE at all. Just the push they can do is like, oh, that's our guy.
Yeah, I'm upset that we're not going to be able to see that fight because it's such a clash of styles. I think it would have been really entertaining to watch.
For sure, but like we were saying, with Raw, you got Brock getting smashed again, which it's fun. It's fun. We talked about it for the SummerSlam match. It's fun seeing Brock be at least a little bit vulnerable. Yeah, sure, he came out on top, but at least he got hurt and got beat up, and because that's what you need in wrestling. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, both sides have to have the appearance of being able to win. And for so long, Brock has been squashing the other guy's ability to win with how the matches were set up. It's just fun to have some doubt about the finish just now in a Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah, it's been since his first run, because even when he came back and feuded with Cena and Triple H, he didn't look that vulnerable until they eventually beat him, which was a goddamn mistake in 2012. But
true. Later on in Raw, we got what we all wanted was the Hardy Boys versus the newly crowned tag team champions of Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Are we allowed to call them the Shield again, or are they just both of their names?
I don't know what their official name is. I know on Twitter, Matt Hardy referred to him as Shield 2.0. But isn't the correct term like Shield 2/3?
Yeah, I would go 2/3 Shield.
Yeah.
Let's just
Shield
go with 2/3 Shield on this podcast. All right, so 2/3 Shield goes out, and they put a really lame attempt at a "Hey, hooray for us" promo.
Yeah,
and then the Hardys come out and get the match going. And Hardys look good for being old guys. You know, they're still hanging in there. One thing that we need to communicate to some wrestlers is that Jeff Hardy can't jump, 10 feet off the ropes anymore. Can you get under him a little bit better?
Yeah, that was a neat spot, but Jeff,
Yeah.
the old legs aren't working as well for Nero as they once were.
For real. And, I mean, the Whisper in the Wind and Poetry in Motion, the guy is just hopping up a little bit and then just crashing into dudes and onto the floor because nobody is close enough to where they should be. And it's like, hey, understand, this man is almost 40 years old.
Which is weird to think about because he looks almost the same he did not when they first debuted, but when they first started getting semi-big in wrestling. He hasn't aged much.
No, not at all. What was the big standout for you on Raw?
Honestly, the biggest thing was the Lesnar stuff. I mean, that was because I watched the opening live because I wanted to see what the Brooklyn crowd would be like. But really, I mean, we've talked about the two big things for me, where have been the Hardys and 2/3 Shield and Brock. So where does your mind go?
The John Cena Roman Reigns tease that they did right in the middle of the show, and then they bring out The Miz, and then they bring out Samoa Joe, which I thought was just kind of weird. But we've texted about this, but we need to put this on wax. Like, is John Cena drunk? Like, what is going on with John Cena?
He's been even like 2 weeks ago on SmackDown, he's just been acting wacky. And if I don't know if this is like a character change or what the hell John Cena's doing.
Yeah, okay, so at SummerSlam he grabs or was that SummerSlam or SmackDown that he grabbed JBL's hat
It was
and
SummerSlam.
taunting Baron Corbin?
Yeah.
And then you've got, during the Miz's promo, he flubbed the name of Barclays, which people do all the time. And John keeps interrupting what ends up being a super good, super passionate promo by the Miz. He just keeps interrupting it by, trying to crack jokes, and it's just, stomps over what everything's happening in the ring. It was just very strange. And then the part where Miz, gets the crowd chanting, that Raw doesn't need John Cena. And then he's like, okay, guess I'll go. It's like, what? Why don't you just shut the fuck up and let the guy finish?
Yeah, and that doesn't really go into your never give up bullshit you like to spew.
Right?
Yeah, I'll fucking leave. What the hell, man?
And Roman Reigns, you are in there with the biggest star in the company, a full-fledged movie star. You standing there glaring and not correctly speaking to a microphone's not going to cut it.
Yeah, the higher-ups, even Vince has to kind of see... I mean, if we're going to punish Baron Corbin for not being able to hang with John Cena on the mic, what the fuck was that with Roman Reigns? I mean, there has to be some sort of backlash for him. Even with him, obviously he's in much better standing with the company than Baron Corbin is. But Jesus Christ, man, that was hard to watch.
And I just don't get, what... They kind of convoluted what they're trying to do with Cena and Reigns by introducing The Miz and then throwing in Samoa Joe to make it a tag team match to give everybody a little bit of a rest after the night before. But, all right, you want to set up Cena and Roman Reigns either at, maybe the Rumble or maybe at WrestleMania next year. They've teased it on social media all the time, whatever. It's that's fine, but let it happen. Get John Cena sober or, acting like normal John Cena and get Roman Reigns to do the very small amount of decent promo work that he can do and actually start building something. It was just very weird Monday.
Yeah, they're obviously moving towards that, but I think it's almost like they're showing their hand a little too early. I think they should have saved their initial confrontation probably until the Royal Rumble. Maybe just have them stare each other down maybe in the Rumble or, build something to that because their match is happening at WrestleMania 34. I would bet almost all the money I have on that. I mean, that's what they've been building. It's the next logical step for Roman Reigns since he's main evented the last 3 WrestleManias. It seems to be like the next logical step for John Cena, who's kind of taken a back seat in the last few WrestleManias. So that has to be where they're going, right?
I would agree with you there. I loved the Miz's promo, not only for the fact that the Brooklyn crowd started chanting "You both suck" to Roman Reigns and John Cena. That's just hilarious, smarky stuff. But then the point where he said, this is what a sold-out arena at Barclays looks like. I wouldn't know. Just taking a complete shot at WWE for screwing up the entrance. Or the backstory there is the Miz's match at SummerSlam was on the pre-show, and none of the people were in the arena yet because apparently there was some mix-up on when the people were allowed in and when the show started. So they basically had their match in front of about 1,000 people.
Oh, if that. It looked almost less than that. It was brutal for them to have. I mean, because it had the Hardys in there too. It was the Hardys in the Miztourage and then Jason Jordan, which, bleh. But Miz and the Hardys wrestled in front of, I would say, less than 1,000 people on the SummerSlam. And technically the SummerSlam show. Sure, it was the pre-show, but it's on SummerSlam. Like, you can't have that big of a fuck-up on your second biggest show of the year.
Yeah, and what's honestly your third biggest title in the company. Like, the IC title is supposed to matter. And you can tell that Miz, it was obviously, a work shoot, essentially, where Miz is legitimately pissed, but he actually turned it into some effective stuff. And that's really what the Miz has shown in the last year or so, that he is just so great at, is taking how he actually feels, turning it into a work in a wrestling ring, and then, emoting that to the audience and getting them to kind of buy into him, even though they don't like him and even though they might hate him. Is like understand but I actually can support what that guy's saying.
Yeah, it's definitely the respect factor, like with John Cena, just the fact that he's been around for so long, and as much as people like to say he can't wrestle, he can wrestle. It's like the Miz. The Miz was so douchey and unlikable when he first came in, but he's morphed that douchiness into like a cool douchiness, if that makes sense, and has just turned it into something really, really special.
Definitely. Honestly, this is probably the best. The thing that I've always been just kind of interested by since the brand split happened last summer is that these weeks like these where you have 3 days in a row where you're expected as a good wrestling fan or a WWE fan to watch 3 days in a row of 4 hours of content, 3 hours of content, and 2 hours. Very rarely have all 3 of those shows delivered and made it worth my time. This was one of the first weeks, I feel like, since maybe WrestleMania week, that this was, all 3 shows were solid and kept my interest from start to finish.
Yeah, you can even say it's 4 days in a row if you want to include NXT TakeOver, and I would say that delivered on Saturday night, too.
That's true. It's just, obviously, there's very few things that are going to keep interest outside of, pro football for 4 days in a row like that. But just the fact that they're finally starting to understand, like, when you have that, you've got to make those Raw and Smackdown shows just as good, if not, or just as good, or maybe just a half notch below the pay-per-view to really justify all the time that people are supposed to invest there.
I like that the post SummerSlam crowds have almost morphed into the post Mania crowds, where they're just so smarky and everything. One last thing I'm going to touch on. Did you see today Vince McMahon banned all beach balls from WWE events?
No shit.
Yep, he announced that this morning, that all beach balls and or, how would you word it? All beach balls and or, I think, pool-related
inflatable devices or some shit?
Yeah, are banned from events now.
Wow. But that's kind of dumb, though, because Cesaro running out of their match with two-thirds shield and popping that thing was one of the best things that happened on SummerSlam.
No fun old man Vince for you.
Yeah. Grandpa Vince really stifling the crowd.
Triple H went to
all right. Yeah. What are you gonna do? When you're over 70 and you still run a multi-billion-dollar company, I guess you can kind of make dumb rules like that if you want.
He's got a little bit of pull.
Yeah, for real. All right, so that's our show for this week, or wrestling show this week. We might hit you with a sports one later this week if we get the time. You can find us on Twitter at FatGuysNLikeNancyFriends. You can email us, fatguysandfriends@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, Fat Guys and Friends. Leave us a comment if you got any thoughts on Summerslam or the Raw or Smackdown this week. Wang gets us on iTunes, and you can also find us on YouTube. Those links will be shared and everything on our pages. Thank you for listening, and we'll try to get back to you this week.
Goodbye.